Tony Stewart just said something that a lot of people needed to hear. And honestly, it hit different. In the wake of Kyle Busch's passing, Stewart didn't hold back. What he said about how fans treated Kyle during his lifetime is the kind of thing that makes you stop and think, because sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. And this time, Tony Stewart made sure everyone heard it. But before we get into that, if you're a true NASCAR fan like me, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel. NASCAR Nation News is just getting started, and we're pushing toward our next subscriber milestone. It's all about real talk from fans who live the sport every single week. All right, let's get into it. So here's where this story begins. Tony Stewart was at Bristol Motor Speedway preparing for the NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals. At first, it seemed like a normal race weekend, but there was one thing that made this event different. This was the first NHRA race held at a NASCAR venue since Kyle Busch's death. And while Stewart was there, he sat down for an interview with Noah for a tribute piece honoring the late driver. NASCAR reporter Stephen Toretto later shared excerpts from that interview, and what Stewart said, it didn't come wrapped in polished PR statements. It came straight from the heart. Stewart said, and I'm quoting here, "Now everybody wants to talk about how he was as a person. Outside of that, all they wanted to do was just judge what they saw on TV." Think about that for a second, because that's a statement a lot of people probably weren't expecting. But Stewart wasn't finished. He continued, "It's frustrating. Every one of us are judged by what they see on TV. And then once you die, then they want to talk about how good a person you were. That's a difficult truth to hear." And honestly, it's hard to argue that Stewart wasn't speaking from genuine frustration. However, there was one point he wanted to make crystal clear. He added, they should have given him a chance to learn him as a person before they judged him in the first place. And that's when everything changed, because this wasn't really about public perception anymore. This was personal. Then Stewart delivered a line that revealed exactly where he is emotionally right now. He said, "So right now, I don't care about educating everybody about how Kyle Busch was. I know who Kyle Busch was." That line says everything. That's grief. That's loyalty. That's someone who knew Kyle Busch beyond the interviews, beyond the headlines, and beyond what a television camera could ever capture. As for Kyle himself, he passed away from bacterial pneumonia and complications with sepsis. He had been battling the illness for several weeks before ultimately losing that fight. But here's the thing. The story doesn't end there, because this has been an incredibly difficult period for Tony Stewart in more ways than one. Just last month, Stewart shared another emotional message. This time, it came after the death of Billy Hurt. Billy was a firefighter and EMT who lost his life during a World of Outlaws event at Kennedale Speedway in Texas, and his impact on the sport was enormous. For 23 years, Hurt helped rescue sprint car drivers across multiple racing series. That included the American Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series, the Tulsa Shootout, and the Chili Bowl Nationals. For more than 2 decades, he put himself between danger and the drivers we love to watch every weekend. And that kind of commitment isn't forgotten. Stewart, who owns a sprint car team himself, took to X and shared a heartfelt message. He wrote, "Please keep the families of Billy Hurt, Jerry Myers, and the entire WRG team following the tragedy in Texas on Saturday. Sprint car racing is a small world, but we're a tight-knit group. We all hurt when tragedy rears its ugly head. Hug your people and never forget what our safety teams provide for us every night at the track. The chance to do what we love." What happened next surprised a lot of people, because for many fans, that message showed a side of Tony Stewart they rarely got to see. Not the fierce competitor, not the outspoken driver, but the person, the guy who genuinely feels every loss this sport experiences. And that's a side of Stewart that often gets overlooked. Meanwhile, on the racing side of things, his world has been changing rapidly. His sprint car team underwent a major restructuring heading into this season. Longtime driver Donny Schatz, who had been with the team for 18 seasons, moved on. Taking his place is Australian sprint car veteran Kerry Madsen, who now drives the number 15 entry. But that wasn't the only major change. Tony Stewart made a significant move of his own. He stepped aside at TSR Nitro to make room for his wife, Leah Prudett, who joined that program. Stewart then transitioned over to Elite Motorsports, becoming the team's first driver in the top fuel category. A fresh start, a new chapter. But here's the thing. He didn't need much time to make an impact. Stewart already captured a victory at the Pomona Winternationals, and the success didn't stop there. His TSR Nitro driver, Matt Hagan, celebrated a win that same weekend. And not just any win. It came during NHRA's 1000th Funny Car Race. For the organization, it was a remarkable weekend from top to bottom. Which brings us back to Bristol Motor Speedway. As Tony Stewart stands there this weekend, he's carrying a lot more than a helmet and a fire suit. He's carrying the loss of Kyle Busch. He's carrying the loss of Billy Hurt. He's navigating major changes in his own racing career, and through all of it, he's still showing up, still competing, still speaking his mind as Tony Stewart. And now, here's the question I want to leave you with. Do you think fans gave Kyle Busch a fair chance to be known as a person during his career? Or do you agree with what Tony Stewart said? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely want to hear where you stand on this one. And if this video meant something to you, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to NASCAR Nation News and come back for more real talk from fans who live the sport every single week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.